Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Kentuckiana Travel Ball Podcast. My name is T. Gridge. I'm your host. As always, I'm joined by Rick Hines. What's up, Rick?
What's going on?
So we have a really cool giveaway today. So our sponsors, Guardian Baseball, are going to give away a Easton Hype bat to one of our listeners today. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is there's a link that I'll attach to the podcast that you have to go in, fill out some information, and then the people at Guardian Baseball and Easton are going to give away a nice new Easton Hype bat. You can get a BB Core option or a U-Trip option.
All right. So you get to pick the size.
You get to pick the size. And once again, GuardianBaseball.com. Shop for top baseball and softball gear, locally owned, free shipping, free returns. If you use the code Kentuckiana Travel Ball, you get an additional 15% off. Super excited about this episode. I've been wanting to have this guy on for a while, and actually I meant to do it last week and got caught up in some personal stuff, but this week I reached out. I'm really glad to have him. Mr. Ryan Wheat is in the studio. What's up, Ryan?
Hey, what's up, guys? How are you?
Good. So Ryan is a bunch of things in the Louisville baseball world. He's the director of Legends Baseball. He is an assistant coach at Trinity Baseball. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to kind of leave it alone after I do this piece here. So I've been to, and Rick can attest to this too, because Rick's son goes to Ryan as well. I've been to a bunch of different guys for lessons. I've been to all of them. I've been to Luat. I've been to Sutton Whiting. All the Wolves guys who were great. Bryant, Zev, all really, really good. Everybody's really good at what they do, right? Ryan is a different level for me, and let me tell you why. So when I took my son to Ryan, it was a lot of questions. He didn't treat him like he was 11 years old. He treated him like he was a high school or college athlete. And he left there with more understanding of what we were trying to do than a lot of times just kind of, you're getting soft toss, swing hard. Oh, let's try this with your foot. Maybe if we swing up a little bit instead of, it was always stuff that I left thinking, well, that guy's good. He's obviously got credentials, but I could have done that.
Right.
Ryan is a whole nother level.
Breaks it down and starts from the beginning, and just he makes you understand everything you're doing rather than just do this.
I completely agree. Now, I teased this in my one of our first podcasts. I said, look, at some point we're going to have on a hitting instructor who I think's the best around. And I never said who it was, but I was alluding to it, Ryan. And actually, a bunch of people had reached out, texted me, and said, hey, who is this guy? And have since been in with Ryan. So we've sent a lot of business his way. And there's a new thing on Ryan's horizon we're not going to get into today because we can't, but some really cool stuff happening for the Louisville area. But Ryan, what I'd like for you to do, man, is just kind of start with your baseball background. How'd you start in baseball? What's been your career up to this point?
Yeah, well, first off, I appreciate the kind words. It's, the coaching realm is a lot of trial by error, and I apologize for all the kids I've screwed up over the years, so my public apology. But no, I started out as I went to Oldham County High School and, had great coaches there, and Larry McMillan, who's a legend in that area, and he retired from coaching and kept score for the Colonels for, probably 10 or 15 years after. He may still be doing it. And then a guy named Chris Kraft, who was just one of those kind of guys that's like a jack of all trades, and was really good. And completely honest, man, I wasn't a very good player. And
really?
Yeah. No, I mean, I was, just wasn't a great player and had to kind of work. I wasn't the most athletic guy. I wasn't the most I definitely wasn't the fastest guy. I could always throw a little bit, and hitting was super hard for me, so I got a ton of instruction on it. And then I went and played at Spalding University for Kevin Cox, who I've never been around a human being that knows how to organize practice like him, and who was relentless on details and everything else. And I totally bought into it. I loved it. It was an amazing experience for me.
I've heard that from a lot of guys that had played for him. So Jason Betts is a good friend of ours. He had said that. I guess Zev played for him too, Zev Bernard. But I've heard that a lot from guys who'd played in that organization.
I mean, so I transferred in my sophomore year. It was first year of the program. Betts was a first-year guy. We had these, and our first practice was 13 hours.
First practice.
Wow.
First practice.
No, wait a
Spalding
minute.
University
Hold on.
history.
Hold on.
This is not an
13
exaggeration.
13 hours. How does that work?
That's if you are.
Like 7
please
o'clock
confirm.
to
Like what?
It was literally 9 in the morning till 10 at night, something like that. 8 in the morning till 9 at night.
So you guys
Guys,
suck that bad? And
we went over. It took us 2 hours to stretch because no one did it right, and we had to go
Okay.
over and do it over and over again. And people that are listening, it's like,
Wow.
it's crazy. Yes, it was crazy, but man, it set the tone for that program
Okay.
to move forward. And it was our first year. That first year, we were 15-45. 2 years later, we were like 55-23 and went to the World Series.
Wow.
And a startup program. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
And, it was, I was enamored by it really as a young, impressionable kid. It was, really after probably that first or second season, I had no interest in coaching. And then it was like, and this is kind of what I want to do. So I had some personal stuff, and it was like, definitely want to do it now.
Yeah.
So I could have came back for another year, and I didn't want to. I wanted to get right into coaching.
Okay.
So it was.
Ryan, what position did you play?
I caught.
Okay, so you're a
Yeah.
catcher.
Caught and ended up, I guess, more of like a backup type role and with DH, and just kind of I got to learn a few spots. Really, I played first base a little bit. If I was swinging the bat good, he'd stick me in left field, and I'd go stand on the warning track type thing, and and just not try to screw it up. And as soon as the fly ball went up, I said, "You got it, you got it." type thing. So,
Let that center fielder get over
yeah,
there.
exactly. I got towards the line, bud. Gaff's all yours.
Well, so it's interesting. So Rick Arnold, who obviously I'm close with, Trinity's head baseball coach, which congratulations on the first state high school baseball championships.
Yeah,
Pretty awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, it was awesome.
I want to get to Dalen here before we get too far out of that too. But Rick had always told me, when I had gone to him, who should I use for this and that? He said, look, you need to go Ryan Wheat for batting, but let this don't be lost either. He might be the best catching instructor around as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think in coaching, what you do is you just basically you have to think about it, right? And so you can ask my wife, like I get in these holes sometimes where I just kind of get lost in, I don't know, the internet or a book or whatever the case may be, and I'll be just out of commission from like a family standpoint,
Right.
and so you just learn, and then you got to try it, and then you got to be like, oh, does this make sense to me? Does it not make sense to me? Like, it's funny. Somebody was asking me about this the other day. Like, I was coaching at St. Joseph's College in 2012 with guys like my best friend now, Rick Odette. He's at St. Leo University in Tampa, just north of Tampa in Wesley Chapel, Florida. And we were horrible. We were terrible. And it's like, man, we're not doing this right.
Right.
You're a good coach. I think I'm a good coach. He's
Right.
like, well, you're a good coach. It's like, then why do we
what are
stink?
we doing wrong?
Yeah. Why
right.
are we so bad?
So it was like, so we've got to figure this out a little bit. And the next year we were really good. And, next 2 years, like we lost like in 14 and 15, we lost like something crazy, like 19 one-run games over those 2 years or something like that. We just had young guys and just kind of grinded and battled. But in 2013, we were really good. And it was like, all right, this is kind of what we have to do.
Well, explain to me what that is, though. What's that formula to improving a record in that situation? Because honestly, I think that probably goes all the way down to our situation in the travel ball world. We've done pretty well with our team. So we started with a kind of a ragtag group that has grown into a formidable club now. And it's been a lot of hard work, it's a lot of coaching, it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of people who care. All the parents are bought in. It's a really good group now. But how do you turn something like that around? I don't quite. What's the formula? Is it just hard work?
No. I mean, it's what if you ask, I don't know, Elon Musk, right? Like he's like a relentless worker, right? But he's really smart in how he works.
Super smart.
So, and I think like that's what successful people do. The world is littered with hard workers.
Okay.
Hard work is not always rewarded,
Yep.
right?
Sure.
So
Sure.
you have to develop a plan. And I have this thing, I read this thing on the internet, so it has to be true. But like if you put a shark, if you take a baby shark and you put him in an aquarium and he grows up in an aquarium, right? That shark's going to grow to be 8 inches. if you put him in the ocean, he's going to grow to be 8 feet. Right?
Okay. All right.
So, and I think a lot of times what we did in 2013, it was like, practice doesn't have to be perfect all the time. That means if you have perfect practice, all it means is it's too easy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
And, I read this study a few years ago about a tiger in the jungle, and it's like it really sparked my mind to, if we constantly make this easy and we constantly spoon feed them, right? It's no different than school. It's no different than anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like you see people like teach music, they make it hard.
Yep.
And they make it so when you get in front of, if you have a pianist or whatever the case may be, and they got to play Carnegie Hall, that they're going to, Coach Arnold always talks about it. You have to rely on your training.
Yep.
And so if your training's easy and the game is the jungle, how are you going to respond?
Yeah.
And so
I love this.
Right.
This is awesome.
yeah, and it's,
I feel like there's a quote there.
There's been a couple
Something,
quotes
yeah,
here.
right.
but it's, it's like one of these things like, and as an instructor, you do it like you feel it, right? That's how you make your money. You want people to come back in the door, and you go, and I had to draw a hard line in the sand and be like, hey, we're either going to make these kids better, and they're either going to respond, or they're not going to come back.
Yep.
And you got to be okay with it either way.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it was, prepare them. Because you go through, like I do this high school hitting program in the winters, and it's like, there's a lot of times they fail.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a lot of times you fail in a game.
Sure.
Especially as a hitter, right?
Sure.
As a defender, it's completely different.
What's a game of failure?
Yeah, that's what they say,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And you get to define what failure is.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I guess that drives me crazy the most is like the Rocks ain't afraid to strike out. Never have been since I've been there, right? And we score all these runs and somebody would be like, oh my God, I can't believe how many times you guys strike out. They're like, man, you're a really negative thinker. Like, I can't believe you just said that because we just scored 300 runs for like 6 consecutive years.
Right.
And
Does
you're
that-
just looking at my strikeout
Yeah,
numbers.
does that matter? No, what matters is that we're putting runs up on the board. I agree. Like, I
You
wish they
know,
wouldn't strike out that much either. But
It was interesting. We asked Coach Arnold once, Rick and I were at a game, and we asked him how much he gave the take sign because it looked like these kids were being very picky, and there was a lot of, and he was like, I didn't.
yeah.
Once maybe, and we were blown away because
I'm
these
like,
kids were
man,
not swinging.
This
Yeah.
kid did not even look
But-
like he wanted to swing.
But the plate discipline was great, and when they did hit it, they rocked it.
Yeah.
So that's part of it, and I guess that's something you guys work on.
Yeah. I mean, it's you'll see, like, I've 2 different people now. The guys I coached at DeSales, I'm sure, think I'm really soft, but like, I only get angry at them if we have like a bunch of weak contact early in counts. Like last year, I think we lose. I think we lost like 2 or 3 games, and so in those games we had like 4 strikeouts or less. Okay. The previous years, we had like, I think in 19 we had 6 losses, and 2 of those games we struck out over 8 times. So the other 4 we had 4 strikeouts or less. So it's like, if you're a basketball coach, you don't go, hey, Johnny, whatever you do, just don't turn the ball over.
That's a good
Right?
point.
You don't. You say,
Don't dribble the air out of the ball.
right, exactly. Like,
Mhm.
drive it to the hoop, go
Mhm.
score, be aggressive. Football, it's like, hey, you got like the Petrino era. Give us the ball first. We're going to
Yep.
go down and we're going to score.
We're
It's
going to
not-
score.
It's not Lamar, just whatever you do, don't turn the ball over. It's not like that in any other sport. But in baseball, we go,
Don't strike out.
don't strike out.
Yeah.
And
Don't-
kids are terrified to strike out.
Well, and that's all they
Yeah.
think of. If that's what you're projecting, that's all they're going to think about. Oh, I can't strike out, so I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm just going to hit the ball and
So what? I mean,
I'll be fine.
This is enlightening to me here because I don't know that we've ever gone down the path with our team of don't be worried to strike out. I mean, we've told them, hey,
Yeah.
not a big deal, but
Right.
but this isn't what I'm hearing you say here is kind of interesting. And the quote you just said, weak contact,
Right.
early in counts.
So what's your approach? What are you teaching the same approach to every kid on your team? Like, what's your approach to those at bats?
Yeah.
Is there a specific strategy there?
We try to just focus on maximizing the at bat, right? Like, we walk a ton too. And We want guys to understand the strike zone and go in and say, are you capable of getting your best swing off on a pitch you can drive? So the first part of that is you have to understand what pitch you can drive. The second part is, are you capable of get your best swing off? And it's the hardest thing in the world to do. But we sit here and we go, we throw so many different things at these guys. It's like simple. Hit strikes hard. Right?
Hit strikes hard.
Hit strikes hard. Dylan Lawson, hitting coordinator for the New York Yankees.
Yep.
Trinity guy. That's their motto. That's what we've adopted. Just hit strikes hard. Like,
I like it.
I don't care if it's an outside pitch and you rope it in the gap, in the pull gap. I don't care if it's an inside pitch and you drive it to right field.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's just try to make this simple. It's the hardest thing to do in the people say it's the hardest thing to do in all of sport. So why don't we just simplify it and go, see it, attack it, and
put your best swing on it.
Put your best swing on it, because that's how you're going to maximize your at bat.
Interesting. I love this.
Instead of going in and
whether
going,
it's an 0-1 count or a 3-0 count or whatever the count is, so you're not thinking about counts or pitch types or anything. You're just strike, hit it hard.
Yep. I mean, that's
swing hard.
No,
we do obviously from an instruction standpoint, sure. And look, and Coach Arnold always said, look, what's important is playing pitch and catch. If you can't play pitch and catch, you can't win ball games. And I'm like, come on, dude.
Make it simple.
You just won the first state championship in Trinity history, and that's what you're going to say? He's like, yep.
Yeah.
It's a simple game, right?
It's a simple game.
When you try to overcomplicate it, like I used to joke with our players, and you go through all these things, and I'm a thinker, and it's like, I would just talk and talk and talk and coach the hell out of them and keep coaching and keep coaching and keep coaching. And it's like, yeah, that's not how you do it. You know what I mean? Like you go, hey, how's your day going? Like how's school? And then you go, hey, like when it's actually baseball time, let's try to do this. Let's try to hit this ball here. Do you feel why aren't you hitting this ball here? So we just try to stay external as much as we can and not focus on the body.
See, that's the part I like, though. So, the lessons that I've seen you do, Ryan, there is a lot of question and answer. Right. And my son was standing there like a deer in headlights. He was like, you said, well, what'd you do wrong there? I don't know. It would just stare at you. Yeah. And I'm like, and I'm sitting there as a dad, want to be like, you didn't do this, but I don't, because that's how he is learning. Right. And then when we left, I was like, oh my God, the things he was regurgitating back to me is like, you actually just learned something.
Right.
And to me, that is the value beyond anything. And you're not treating them like a little kid, like he ain't gonna understand this, so why should I even swing hard?
Right.
You treated him like an adult, and I really appreciate it and really got a ton out of it. So, again, man, but the whole question and answer is huge, to your point.
Yeah, I mean, like, and I go back to school. I was a horrible student, right? Like, it was literally just enough to get by, and I shut my mouth, did not engage at all.
Yep, same.
Right?
Same.
Then I got into like college, and there was like classes that actually interested me, and I just wanted to talk about it with the professor. And I had this one guy in when I was at Spalding that was like great. I mean, he was a brilliant guy, and it was like, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's like the only class I learned anything in, because it had nothing to do with the professor. That's who we want to blame it on. We want to blame it on the teacher. We want to blame it on the coach. But it's like the hardest thing in the world to do as a kid is to communicate with an adult.
Oh yeah.
And so what I try to do is, okay, if you want to get better, then you're going to have to learn how to talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to, that's when we can start making stuff go.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's great. I love like the hard conversations with kids, and because you can see the growth.
Yeah, you can see the growth, and you can actually see them, the wheels turn.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, I need to be doing this. And it's interesting, though, because how frustrating is it from a hitting coach perspective? Now, not on the Trinity's team, because you're handling all that, but when you see these kids, maybe within the Legends program, where you're telling them to do one thing and then a coach tells them the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Is that frustrating? Do you run into that a lot?
Yeah. It's selfishly, it's frustrating.
Sure.
Right? Because you're trying to help, but it's like the worst thing, right? as a private instructor, right? I'm saying this as a guy that makes his living this way. The worst thing we can do is put the kid in the middle between two adults.
Oh, yeah.
Who am I going to listen to? All they're trying to do is please us.
Right.
You know what
They're
I mean?
trying to make
Like,
everybody happy.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, like, I try to find ways, like, if I know somebody's hitting with somebody else or their dad or something else, like, it was a situation that it's like, all right, I'm going to try to find another way to help them.
Yep.
Here's the funny part about mechanics, and I'll try not to go off on this tangent. Kid ropes a double in the gap. Okay? Say it's the worst hitter on your team. His mechanical swing is going to be the same no matter what you teach. You know what I mean? Like, it is going to be pretty much the same. It's going to work from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
Hips are going to open, right? Like, he may be out in front, he may be this, but the swing itself is going to work.
Okay.
Where you have the breakdown between good hitter and bad hitter is, what do you do on the other times you can't get your swing off, right? Like, what do you do, like, if it's...
When you get your swing off, what do you mean by that?
So you have full intent into the ball. Like, you're able to take your best swing.
You're not just waving at it.
Yeah, right. And so that made me think that, like, they see something, right? The ball is telling them to do something else. And it's this thing where you're going to attack what you see. And a lot of times, I think that's where especially young kids get. I mean, I have a 9-year-old son, and we're going on this journey of kid pitch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, and I saw a bunch of kids that, you know, we did coach pitch last year and throw into them hard. They're crushing it. And now you have this variable, and it's like, it's a hard adjustment.
Yep.
And so it's, you know, it's the same thing. You have to be able to attack what you see. Why don't we spend more time on seeing it? Why don't we spend more time on picking it up? Because your mechanics aren't going to work no matter what you're taught.
If you can't see it.
If you can't see it. Right? Like, that's the crazy part about this. Like,
there's this Oculus thing out now that's like their tagline.
Have you heard
that's
that?
Like the pitch.
Virtual reality.
Have you
stuff?
seen any of that?
Yeah.
Does any of that work?
Good?
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, when I left Spalding as a coach, I went and worked for Jay Sorg at Morehead State, and also Trinity guy. And Jay is brilliant baseball guy, and he was telling us about this guy. I can't remember his name. He played in the Reds organization. Brady, I feel like it was Brady Clark, maybe.
Okay.
And he would go. He said he roomed with him as a player, and like, he's going through like this 3-string thing with like these little plastic washers,
right?
And, like, they're doing this stuff, and he's like, "Dude, why are you doing that? It's crazy." You know, like, such eyewash type thing. And he's like, "If it makes me just a little bit better, I'm going to do it."
Yeah.
And it's like, man, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, that's
you know what
ahead
I mean?
of this curve there.
Yeah. So it's like, you can do stuff to train your eyes. The whole eye thing is just completely amazing to me. And this is why wish I'd paid more attention in school now. So, you know, it's kind of one of those deals that it's like, you can go and do all this mechanical work and do all this, and then you get in the game and it just doesn't work. Like, we see it all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and
it's like, how do we connect the cage to the game? You know, that's the hardest part.
So obviously this is a travel ball podcast here, Ryan. And what I want to do, and I say this every week, and I feel like we do, is we give value to the people that listen. So the coaches, the players, the parents, when they listen to our podcast, they're taking something away. Now there already been a ton of stuff that you can take away here, but let's break down the batting a little bit more. What are the most, and I know everybody has their own swing, and I know you're big on letting people kind of have their own swing.
Right.
But what are the key components to a good baseball swing? Without that's a loaded question. I know we could talk about hours on this.
Not the nerded out version,
as
you would say.
Yeah, exactly. I'll keep it.
Well, what do you think the key components are?
Number one's balance.
Okay.
Right. So if you generally, like, if you load on balance, you land on balance, you have to give yourself a chance. Right. And it's.
So if you're finishing off balance, that's a bad thing, right?
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
If you land off balance,
Okay.
So if you load off balance.
Yep.
Right. So like we could get up here, I could show you, but like it's basically if you're able to stay on balance the whole time, now you've given yourself a chance for your mechanics to work.
Okay.
Okay. Second part is bat speed. I don't care what anybody says. Bat speed is king, right? You can only play as long as your bat speed is relevant to the level that you're playing at. And it's not the end-all be-all. Just because you have the fastest bat doesn't mean you're going to be the best hitter. But you do have to have the tools necessary in order to compete at the level that you're trying to.
Okay.
The vision part is obviously huge, right?
Yep.
That's like uncharted territories. That's the Antarctica of the hitting world.
Right.
So, and then, having understanding and approach of what you're trying to do in the at bat. If you can do those things, right? Like, if you can do those things, you can make yourself a pretty good hitter. I'm not going to say you're going to be the best hitter, but you can make yourself to where you can teach yourself how to have quality at bats.
So what does an approach at bat look like?
So basically, approach is your plan, right? And your plan going in is, okay, I want to, like, I try to simplify it as much as possible. I used to not.
Hit strikes hard.
Hit strikes hard.
Okay.
Are you able to pick it up?
Yep.
And then are you able to react to get your best swing off?
Okay.
And so if you are, then you're going to be a pretty successful hitter. The whole key component is, right, like, is can you recognize a ball in the zone? I do this thing where I'll lay the bat down across home plate. Home plate 17 inches, okay? Mm-hmm. And so then I'll just start backing up, right? I give them what 17 inches looks like. And I'll start backing up. And you can see it just shrink, okay? Mm-hmm. And then I'll get to a point and I'm like, do you know what this is? They're like, no. Or then I'll ask them, hey, where's the strike zone? And they'll be standing at the plate. Like, well, it's right here. Nope, that's not your strike zone. Where's your strike zone? And then their head will drop down and be like, keep your eyes up and tell me where your strike zone is. A hitter's strike zone is in between you and the pitcher, right? The umpire strike zone, the catcher strike zone, the grandma in the second row that's going to be yelling at the umpire, that's their strike zone. The coaches complain about balls and strike, that's their strike zone. Your strike zone's in between you and the pitcher. And that's where you have to determine where you're going to hit the ball.
Where you pick that ball up to decide to swing or not.
Right.
Whether you're in or out.
Yep. And then the second part to the approach, it's either yes or no. Yeah. And you have to be convicted in your decision. Mm-hmm. Right? So if you don't take your best swing, we had a kid at Trinity he was a 2020 grad, but so his last year playing was 2019, named Davis Crane, and would not leave his strike zone. Wouldn't leave it. And I loved it. And it was, a situation where people were, if he struck out looking, of course, nobody likes to strike out looking. I get that part. But he'd come back and be like, I want to strike. I said, okay, big fella, get him next time. That's how.
He was convicted, huh?
He was convicted. Yeah. That's half of it, right? Like,
he went on to play college ball, right?
Yeah, he was on the all-newcomer team at Bellarmine last year. So, and he's a guy that, that just –
He knew what his approach was.
Yeah.
He was confident in his approach.
He was confident in his approach, and he has he's a confident kid, right? And so, boom, gets a swing off. Boom, gets a swing off. Gets a swing off. Now he's starting to develop some power. He's a big guy, he's just a younger type of body, and now he's getting strong, and now he's kind of getting some old man strength, and it's like ball starting to jump off his bat, and he can always drive the ball the other way, and it's like, man, this is what it's supposed to look like. You talk about Dalen, right? Dalen taught me more in the 3 years that I coached him than possibly I've ever been taught in my entire life. Like, this is a guy that just knows how to control his body and constantly take his best swing.
Yeah, it never looked like he swung easy.
No.
He always took a major cut at the ball, which is why he always hit the ball hard.
Right.
But it always seemed like even when he missed, which wasn't often,
right,
but when he missed, it was a big cut.
Yeah. And it was his. right? Like it was his, and his ability to connect. He hit a ball down the left field line that went about, I've coached a ton of good players, never coached that.
Yeah.
And it was just, one of these things. And, he liked to be coached, right? Like you see him, like people told him that he wasn't a good defender. And what'd he do? He went out and made himself a great defender. Because in BP every day, like he would go stand out in center field and shag. And I had a scout go, man, come on. Like he goes, is that what it's like every day? I went, oh yeah. Like,
he didn't think that Devin would actually do that every day.
Yeah, he thought it was a show. And I'm like, you should see him in our first and third defense. Like, he is all he's trying to do is just win. He respects the game.
Yeah, he
right?
does.
Like, and that's the amazing part about him. Like, we had a scout come in, and I went, I saw him up in the stands. I went, hey man, I just want to let you know we're not hitting today. It was like one of the rare days that we don't hit at Trinity.
Right.
And he's like, that's okay. I'm like, he's like, I just want to see how he practices. I go, all right, well, enjoy the show because you're gonna watch him in first and third defense, or first and third offense versus first third defense, just making, just going at it.
Yeah.
And it's like, we try to get that point across to everybody, and he just had a different gear. And it's like he's a competitive guy.
Yeah.
And people throw that word around a lot, right? Like, but.
So that's what set him the bar higher for him.
Yes.
That's what makes a difference for him.
Yeah. Like you would watch him, like going back to the BP thing, and like somebody would come up, try to like go out and talk to him. He'd be like, just look at him, like get out of here. Like this is what I'm doing right now. I don't come into your job. I tell people all the time, man, it was like, dude was like in 4 years of trade school, right? Like he's the plumber that goes through trade school. He's either going to have an empire when he gets out of it. He's sitting there plotting his next move, or he's going to be, just happy with his job.
Right.
And he just went in and had the mindset of like, he's going to build his empire. And it was,
I'd say it's pretty safe to say he built an empire.
Yeah.
While doing it.
It's pretty impressive.
And Ryan, so I'll let you address this a little bit. I mean, I know that you had worked with him pretty closely for the last several years. And I know a lot of other people around town like to take credit for that. But, I mean, you did a lot of his instruction, right?
Instruction, not a ton, but fed him balls. You know what I mean? Like,
Gotcha.
Yeah, did we hit outside of Trinity stuff? Yeah, we did. But, Dalen had his plan. I was lucky enough to help him execute his plan. And a lot of times it was literally front toss BP machine work, and, I'm not a guy that's going to go, hey, man, let me show you this, this, and this.
Right.
Like, it's a situation that if he needed help or wanted help, we'd talk about it.
Yep.
And I wasn't going to force feed him anything. It's like the worst thing you can do to a great player, right? Is try to get them to change their mindset or their conviction. And it's like, like he was a guy that just could absolutely, he knew how to work. And like a lot of his pre-draft stuff, like that's what scouts were so impressed with.
Yeah.
Like his routine of what he does well.
On a daily basis.
On a daily basis.
Yep.
That, I don't even know if I had input in it. You know what I mean? Like he
Yeah.
had his routine that he was confident in doing it. It made him feel good, and he did it. And he executed it every single day. And that's baseball.
Yep.
Right? Like, want to be a good player? Go set a routine and do it every day. See how long it lasts. I've started working out like the last 10 years, like 500 times.
Same.
But to be that 18 years old, 17 years old, 18 years old, and have that plan is, it's
But how long has he been doing that?
I'd probably say the last 2 years for sure. Probably the last year. Up until last winter, so probably about a year and a half.
Because how old can you really think that someone
Right.
should be able to put themselves through that type of plan?
You can't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things that
Yeah, you're not going to have your 9-year-old out there every day doing a batting routine.
doing
Right.
his dead stance drills and
Right.
everything like that. Like, but what you can do is you can go as a 9-year-old, you can go, hey, I really like this drill. and before I play, we're in a cage or coach is throwing wiffle ball or heavy ball, I'm going to start with this drill.
Okay.
5 swings.
Okay.
Right? 6 swings. I tell kids all the time, like, you know, everybody's always like working with younger guys so hard, and it is hard.
It is.
But you have to understand that they want to be challenged.
Yep.
And that's why they're there, right? Like if
and that's typically where you're going to see the most gains, right? I mean,
yeah. Yeah, you do see a lot of it. And it's crazy because how quick they can take to it too.
Oh yeah, they're sponges.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they go in, it's like I ask a very simple question. It's hard to answer. I'm like, hey, do you love baseball? And they'll be like, yeah, I love it. Okay, can you do this for 5 minutes a day? Right? Can you go play wall ball for 5 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, can you get out a PVC pipe and swing it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, can you just do this for 5 minutes? Can you do 50 push-ups in 5 minutes? You know what I mean? Like, if you say you love it,
Yep.
and put your money where your mouth is and back it up.
Yeah.
Instead of wanting to go in and the easiest thing to do is say that you love something, you want to be good at something, right? Like there's a lot of things I want to be good at, but I say it, I don't do it.
No, there's a lot of these kids whose dad wants them to be good at it too, you know, and
way more than the kid wants to.
Way more than the kid.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I've lived that in the golf world too many times. Ryan, all right. So as I'm listening to you talk, I mean, just question after question is popping in my head. One of the things that we're seeing now, because we're a rising 12, and we saw it a little bit last year as 11-year-olds, but now everybody can throw a breaking ball. And now as 12-year-old season's going to start, every pitcher is going to have a breaking ball in their arsenal.
Right.
So you're going to see breaking balls at every at bat. Why is it that, well, maybe I know why, because they just haven't seen it as much, but I see a lot of kids struggle with these breaking balls. It's like you throw a breaking ball at a kid, it's just, oh my God, they could be the best hitter, and it's just their swing just completely breaks down.
Yep.
What's the approach at an early age to hit a breaking ball?
Don't miss the fastball, right? Like that's the old saying in baseball: the best way to hit the breaking balls, but don't miss the fastball.
Yep.
And you got to understand, there's 2 good breaking balls thrown. There's a good breaking ball,
Yep.
which everybody struggles with that. Turn on a major league game; these guys are throwing
The ones that are the
Right.
back foot breaking
Yeah.
balls. Yeah, everybody struggles.
Yeah,
They're
everybody
looking like an
struggles.
11-year-old out there too.
And then,
Yeah.
But then, like an 11-year-old, if he has where the ball doesn't come out of his hand, it's coming down. It's like it starts in the zone, starts out of the zone.
Yep.
You're gonna struggle with that.
Yeah.
So, like, we don't practice hitting good breaking balls.
Okay.
We practice hitting bad breaking balls.
Those
and-
hang
hang
one over the plate.
The low hanging
The ones that need to be home runs.
is the one that as soon as thrown, it's like, oh crap, you know, like, please swing and miss, please
Okay.
swing and miss, or please take.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to. The biggest thing is learning the difference between the two, and then can you determine on that ball that's in and out of the zone? Like I break it down like in a category. Like you're going to have one that starts out of the zone and lands in the zone.
Yep.
You're going to have the other one. That's the one we've got to kind of focus on.
Okay.
Right? Out of the zone, into the zone. That means it's going to be up. And then the one that we have to lay off of is the one that starts in the zone and out of the zone.
Yep.
So the one that you can't swing at is the one that starts out of the zone and stays out of the zone.
Right.
Because now at that point, you're just guessing and hoping.
Right.
So you got to understand that, you know, it's no different than anything else in life. Like, you have to have some parameters with it, right? Like good, bad.
Okay.
This one we're looking at, this one we're not.
How do you teach that?
You do it.
You just do it.
Get up on the mound, see who can rock Coach Teague today or Coach Rick.
Okay. All right.
So
Okay.
it's and I think that, like, you know, pitch recognition is huge.
Yeah.
And so it's
Like you said, it's all about the vision.
it's all about knowing what you're getting, right? So and the only way you can do it is practice it.
Yeah.
So, like, it's hilarious. Like, I'll go in our BP someday and at Trinity, and it's like this whole bit I do. Hopefully none of our guys are listening because the future guys will be on my tricks.
Right.
But I'll just go up and be like, hey, guys, I'm going to spin it in BP today. They're like, what? Yeah, I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to spin it in BP. Okay. And I'll throw, like, first hitter will be like 3 fastballs right down the middle, and they're late. And I'll be like, everybody bring it up. You know, like, here we go. You guys just fed right into me right here. Why? Because you don't have an approach.
Yeah. You just went off what I said. And
Yep.
You were expecting.
All I have to do is say I'm going to
Right.
throw a breaking
Yeah, you
ball.
weren't even looking.
You know,
and
like-
you were
Yeah.
just
And then it's
You were toast.
foul ball, foul ball, foul ball, and it's like, well, that tells me that you don't have an approach.
mm-hmm.
And it goes in, and it's like, you know, every approach that every hitter wants to be on, you want to be able to see that you want to be on the fastball, you want to be on fastball timing,
on fastball.
and then be able to adjust on a breaking ball up in the zone,
Okay.
a hanging breaking ball.
Okay.
And so, you know, it's one of those things that, you know, what people forget is that hitting good pitches is really hard.
Yep.
Right? If someone throws a good pitch,
Right.
it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to hit that.
No, well, good pitchers. I mean,
I mean, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to
Of
strike
course.
you out.
Yeah.
Of course. And if you're batting 300, you're doing awesome.
Yeah. You know, and it's one of those things that, but they don't make a good pitch every time.
Right.
And you have to maximize that,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it was, and I think that's, I don't know if it's right. You know what I mean? Like, this is all kind of theory at this point, but this is what we do.
It's been pretty proven that it's
Yeah.
pretty right.
Yeah.
How about going after that first pitch? Is that something you guys teach, or is it simply about the approach?
It's about the hitter, right? Like, go back to my Davis Crane example.
Yep.
I may have seen him swing at one first pitch.
Gotcha.
I was constantly on Dalen, like, hey man, I think you're better pitches 2 through 5 in an at bat than going on first pitch. And, you know, we had our little back and forth about it. And then he went to Madison Central and saw 2 pitches and hit 2 jacks. And it was like, you know, I could kind of see him just kind of
Yeah.
told you so. type
Yeah.
of-
Uh-huh.
Thanks,
So-
Coach.
How
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah. So, but like, you know, it's what you're comfortable with. Like, Davis Graham was a great 2-strike hitter.
Yep.
And because he didn't really change anything,
Yeah.
Right.
you know, like he was just confident in what he did. So my personal opinion is, if it's there, drive it. I don't care if it's 0-0. I don't care if it's 3-0. Like, are you capable of doing that? Are you capable of recognizing it and getting it off? Like,
Are you giving your 9-year-olds the green light on 3-0?
not yet. Not yet.
But you will at some point?
Yeah.
What age?
I hope. I don't know. Hopefully 2 weeks from now,
Okay.
you know, because we're not swinging the bat so well. But and I think that's what it is, right? Like, it's about having an identity as a hitter,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, and then the coolest part is, like, number one, when somebody just strokes that 3-0 pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say the school, but I don't even know if I should really say the player. So we had a guy in a fall league. It was A.J. Arnold, okay?
There you go.
All right.
Coach's kid.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm probably going to catch flack on this one. But we were in a fall league. I don't even know how many people remember this or noticed it or whatever the case may be. And it was like second and third, no outs. He's in a 3-0 count. And I went, hey, get your swing off. Okay? Their coach goes, walking. I'm like, it's fall ball, man. You know, like,
Right.
like, what are we doing here?
Okay.
And like, you know, that's when I kind of realized that people weren't going to, you know, challenge us that much. And so,
Interesting.
so you got to change
So
your approach.
when you told him to swing, they're like, "Nope, let's not give him that
Walking.
opportunity."
He just said, he goes, hey, walking. And I'm like, okay. You know, like,
Interesting.
I didn't react like I'm reacting now, but it was,
Yeah.
I was pretty
It's like,
upset.
okay.
But like, how many opportunities do you get to practice these things?
Oh, sure.
Right.
You know, like, and that was my thing. Like, you know, and that's a skill. I don't care what, especially for a young kid. For a professional, it's totally different. For a young kid, you know, we gave a kid a green light, a 3-0 green light this year, and ground into a double play, and it was like, yeah, man, that's my hell.
Whoops.
You know, like that's
Mhm.
about as low as it gets for
Yeah,
me.
that's the last thing you want on a 3-0 count.
But you know what?
Yeah.
But like
But it happens.
but talk about learning experience.
Oh yeah.
You know, like, and it was a tight game too at the time, and everybody, you know, I could hear just, I didn't even hear it really. I just felt it. Everybody just
You know.
judging us.
Yeah, you
Oh,
just
yeah.
know.
you
yeah.
know, judging the kid and everything else,
Right.
and I'm like,
What are
gosh.
they doing?
And then you kind of feel dumb, and it's like, nah, man, like, live by the sword, die by the sword type thing.
Yeah,
So.
I'm sure that's
Stay
what
aggressive.
I'm sure that's what St. X was thinking when they intentionally walked Dalen in that. We won't go there though. I'm a St. X grad, by the way.
Yeah.
All right. So as far as warm up, I don't know that I've come up with a really good formula on how we should warm up as far as swings go. Now I'm pretty good on the stretching side, pretty good on what we need to do from a pitch catch side. But before a game, and think youth here, don't think high school and beyond. What should we be doing as coaches to warm our teams up?
Making them getting them to have the best swing possible. So if it's front toss, feed them front toss. Or you're talking like on site.
I'm talking on site
at the
before
tournament.
game.
You're in Clarksville fighting for a cage.
Right.
Okay.
Sometimes we have a cage, sometimes we don't.
Yeah.
But look,
we have heavy balls, we have wiffle balls.
We got sticks. We got everything.
Yeah, we
what
got all the
should
tools.
we be doing?
Yeah, honestly, and I'm going to compare this to the high school side. So
That's fine.
My coaching mind is like, all right, we got to take advantage of every opportunity, right? The guys came to me this year and they said, hey, is there any way we can't do machine on game day? I'm like, oh, man, that's a tough one for me.
Why? What was the mindset there?
Because they wanted to feel good.
They didn't want to be tired?
No, they wanted to rope balls. They wanted to crush them. The machine will eat you up sometimes.
Yeah,
It'll
okay.
cut and
I
it'll
gotcha.
sink. And,
Yeah, I gotcha.
They may barrel 2 or 3
Okay.
in a round instead of 5.
Right.
And so we went in and we threw BP before every game. And that was different for me because, my coaching mind is like, hey, this BP's practice. I get it that we're playing, but it's still practice. So and then I started thinking about years past, like where we get being at Thurman Hutchins, we weren't able to take BP a lot of times. So we'd get stuck in the bullpen at Trinity, the on-campus hitting facility. And the guys would just front toss each other. And then we'd go throw up at a 12 spot against a good team. And I'm like, and maybe there's something to this. Practice can be ours as coaches.
Right.
Game day can be theirs.
Okay.
I
like that.
So they just wanted to feel good ripping balls.
They just wanted to crush balls and maybe start feeling a little vascular in their forearms.
I'm with you.
And,
All right.
Get that confidence up. Get that.
I'm with you.
Get the swag
but
a little bit.
let's take that back down to kind of these travel ball teams. So how do you incorporate that into a game day warm up?
Yeah. So I think that you can do front toss. You don't have to throw BP. Don't think about necessarily preparing them for the pitcher, right? Let's just, if it's T, you can have a bunch of different options, right? Because we all travel with wagons and everything else.
Right.
I'm right in the middle of this with you guys.
Yep.
I'm trying to figure it out too, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And so, I was coming home last night. Our 9U team didn't swing the bat well, and I'm like, we're changing this, and it's going to be front toss. It's going to be side toss. It's going to be, I get the purpose of heavy balls because you can do it in a confined space.
Right.
I think the kids like to see the ball fly.
I do too.
So we're going to go, spend money on wiffle balls and we're going to travel with them, maybe have a tee. I'm not a huge tee guy, but if that makes a 9-year-old feel good, then let's do it. Instead of me throwing a wiffle ball and it cutting or it
missing.
sinking.
And they're just swinging and waving at it.
Exactly, and they're
not
off
feeling good
balance.
about it.
Yeah.
And they're frustrated, going into the game frustrated. Yeah.
Exactly. BP, that's not the purpose of BP. The purpose of BP is getting loose. I read this thing on Jason Giambi because, in big league parks, you can't hit. Fans aren't allowed in for the home BP. He never took it on the field. It was always in the cage, doing his routine in front toss.
Interesting.
Yep. I thought so too. And it was so I think there's some truth to that. And then when you have to, and now you see guys, in big league BP that are hitting off machines, high spin machines, right? The machine we use at Trinity is got like a 2,700 spin rate. That's top 1% in the big leagues, maybe the best. It's you're not going to see that ever.
Right.
So, but I guess you just got to figure out a way to make them feel good. And I think there's some visual there.
Yeah, I like that too.
To where you got to see the ball fly. The ball is your best teacher anyway.
Yep.
Right? For rolling over it.
Sure.
Hey, good coaching tip. Don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like let's try to change the ball, change the flight of the ball.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what 9-year-old coach Ryan Wheat's doing.
Okay.
From now on.
All right. I dig it.
I'm going to buy as many wiffle balls as possible. So I dig it.
All right, Ryan. So every week we do when we have a guest, we ask them to give us their favorite drill. Do you have a drill? And maybe, and it doesn't have to be just hitting, but what is your favorite drill that a coach could maybe take something from and maybe use in their practice?
Yeah. So as a listener to the podcast, I've been thinking about this a lot. Honestly, probably going back to Coach Arnold, a 4-corner drill. So where you play pitch and catch and you learn how to be to me, it does so many different things. Like, we've actually put it into like our pre-practice routine. I want to put it into our pre-game routine. Connor Hill does our infielders and Ricky Martin does our infielders. And it's like, I'm trying to like, hey man, let's do some cool stuff in 4-corner before the game. You know, like, can we work this in? And
so 4 corners, set that up for me.
All right. So we'll just take a baseball field. I got a guy, doesn't have to be this position, but you got to have a guy at home. You have a guy at third, second, and first. Okay. And you can have 3 guys in a line. So you just throw it to the left. And all we're trying to do is just play pitch and catch. Boom. I catch the ball. I get it into my hand as quick as I can, throw it, and I hit him in the chest. So you go to the left a couple times around. Okay. And then you can go to the right. Okay. Mm-hmm. So now I'm going home to first. And if I'm a righty and I catch it on my glove side, I want to turn glove side to throw it. And then you continue that around. And then you can do like different variations. So then you can go to the left. And if you receive the short throw, you throw it across the box.
Okay.
I'm sitting here drawing on the table like people can see.
So home to third, and then a third they go to first.
Yeah. And like there's a million different ways you can do this. That's the cool part about it. I think it's the most versatile drill that you can do.
It's just pitch and catch, right?
That's all it is,
just
man.
Pitch and catch.
So do you just do 4 guys, or do you put like lines at each base?
So what do you have? 12 on your
Are you swapping them out after every throw?
So you go, yep.
Okay.
Unless it's like a short throw, long throw thing.
Okay.
So you'd have 3 guys at each.
Okay.
At each base, like, I used to be like, outfielders don't worry about it. Like this is an infielder catcher thing, especially for 13 and below. I think everybody has to do it.
Sure.
And then if someone emails me, I can, or if you put like email in the notes or something like that, I can show them like the different variations that we do. I think I have some video of it too. So we'll shrink the box. Then you have to make all off balance throws.
Okay.
And then you can do like slow rollers out of it. So if I'm
like running throws.
Yeah.
Okay.
So being able to throw on the run. And so you can do all these different things. I even came up with an outfield one. I don't love it right now, but I like where it's going. Then you can make the box really big. Mm-hmm. So it's now that it's like they're working like on a cut, right? Like especially like a change of direction on a cut. Mm-hmm. Like if I'm, set up for home and now I got to go to third.
Right.
Okay. So like, something like that. So it is, to me, like I said, it's the most versatile drill that you can possibly do. And you have to go in and, I'll tell a quick story about playing catch. So Devin Hicks, he's one of our Legends coaches that basically played at a few different colleges. He spent some time at Ole Miss. And so
what age does he coach?
He's doing 15s this year.
Okay.
He was our 17 and under national coach last year. And he's a really, really good baseball guy. And the first year we came on, I was doing a 15-year-old team. He was doing a 15-year-old team. So we were trying to do like an academy style thing that just didn't really fly.
Okay.
And so I was asking him about a guy. And so he was like, oh, he had 2 errors. I was like, oh man, it stinks, What position was he playing? He's playing third. And I'm like, Devin, he's never played third a day in his life. Like I'm mad at this point. I'm, like the director of the organization. And, my whole thing is we got to put kids in the right path. And like, if we're going to put them in positions they never played, how is that? And he's like, you know what, man? He's like, he played with Zach Cozart at Ole Miss. And he's like, you think Zach Cozart played left field in high school? I went, no. I go, I'm sure he played shortstop because he played shortstop in the big leagues. Like, he's getting smart with me. I'm getting smart with him. We're going back and forth, you know. He's like, no. You know what he played his freshman year at Ole Miss? He played left field. I was like, okay. He goes, then the next year you played third base. Then his junior year you played shortstop. So if you're a good player, you got to be able to play.
Yeah, anywhere.
And I'm like, all right, point taken, Devin. You're 100% right. Like, I'm sorry. You know, like,
right.
And that's all it is, right? If I put a non-left-handed first baseman at third, that was Jay's big thing. Like, if you're right-handed, you're going to play third, you're going to play first. If you're right-handed, you play first, you're going to play third. If you are a shortstop, you're going to learn how to play second. If you're a second baseman, you're going to learn how to play short. If you're an outfielder, you're going to see spin from all three.
I like it.
And
we need to think about that, Rick. I like it.
And Devin, what he does with the infielders, because when we do our workouts and stuff, he'll take everybody. He'll take a group of, third baseman. He'll go and feed them ground balls at third. They make throws.
Okay.
Right? Same group. He'll take them to shortstop. I mean, you're seeing kids that have not played shortstop since they were 8 years old out there. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
or ever.
Yeah. And it's, it goes back to that perfect practice thing. You know what I mean? Like, and they're making throws from short. And it's like, you never know when you're going to be in a pinch.
Right.
Like, well, I mean, we all have guys that play different sports, and we have guys that.
Oh yeah.
And then he takes them to second. Then he'll go through, and then he'll do all the feeds to second base. And I'm like, man, it's brilliant because it's everything that I believe in from a development standpoint of, hey, you got to go in and you got to be able to make throws that you're not comfortable making and do all these things. And it's like, man, I don't know. I learned a lot that day and got humbled pretty quick by him. So it was, and he's right. And what's it about? It's about playing pitch and catch.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if ball's on the ground, right? Like, I still got to catch that ball. I still got to throw that ball.
Oh yeah.
And so, I think when people, I always joke with my wife about this because she comes at me with so much stuff, but when people say pitch and catch, they think it's just warming up for the game.
Right.
It's not.
Right.
It's center field going to, to his glove side gap.
Yeah.
Having to turn and make a throw.
Yeah.
To stop a runner.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's
hit the cutoff. Or throw it to the base.
Throw it where they want.
Throw it
right.
They want.
Like,
not just wing it in the air and see where it lands.
Hoping a prayer.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen that a ton.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like right fielder coming in. It's a first baseman fielding a bunt. Right. Like, it's a bunch of different things that when you start breaking down what playing catch truly is, like, it's almost kind of coach speak at this point.
Sure.
And so, but man, playing catch it just opens you up as a player to play so many different positions. Like, if you can do that, you can literally play almost anywhere.
Yeah.
If you can catch the ball and throw the ball.
Which is huge, right? I know.
Yeah.
I know
we get frustrated all the times. I mean, we see our kids in warm-ups, and they're just, how many balls hit the fence or hit the, or sailing out into the outfield? Like, come on, guys, just throw it and catch it. Like,
absolutely.
How hard is it? You're 20 feet away from each other.
Right.
Yeah.
It's only going to get harder. Like,
wait till you got to go in that shortstop, like in the backhand as a shortstop, make that throw. Yeah. So.
Well, Ryan, we've believe it or not, we've already gone 58 minutes, and this was awesome. Might be my favorite episode yet because I'm kind of a nerd about these type of coaching things, and I think you gave a ton of valuable stuff here, and so
we'll have to have him back in a little while.
Oh, we're so listen. So look, I mean it when I say that he's the best hitting instructor my son's been to. And again, I don't want to degrade some of the guys that I'm talking about here because there's guys that are really good at what they do. Ryan was just kind of a different level. Ryan, if somebody wants to get in touch with you to do something like that, I know things may be changing for you here moving forward, but how could they do that?
Email is probably the best way. It's Ryan, RYAN .wheat, WHEAT, the number 25 @gmail.com.
There you go. So if you want to get a hold of Ryan, that's how you do it. I highly, highly suggest that you get involved with this new thing he's going to have going on because it's going to do your young baseball player a lot of good. So before we get out of here, I want to mention the Kentuckiana Easton Hype Bat giveaway. Another exciting contest from Guardian Baseball. So you can sign up with the link. We'll put it all over all the different podcast stuff. So just sign up, put your information in, and we'll be picking a winner here in one of our future podcasts.
Is this a 1 week thing, or we?
No, I think we're going to let this roll for at least a couple weeks. And hey, as far as giving away a bat, we had the right guest on.
There you go. we lined up nicely.
Yeah, we had the right guy on for that.
You ever seen the Easton Hype?
I have not.
I haven't either.
I saw a picture. There's a picture on the actual giveaway deal. It's cool looking.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a great looking bat. So, they got a BB Core option, which is good, and then the U-Trip option. They may or may not have a USA
free
option.
bat's free bat, right?
Free bat's free bat, man. You never know.
Yeah.
I mean, that free
Take
bat
advantage.
could change everything.
Yeah.
So once again, thank you for listening to the Kentuckiana Travel Ball Podcast. Excuse me. We will see you next week. Ryan, thanks for being here, man.
Thanks,
Ryan.
guys, man. It was a lot of fun. Appreciate it.
Peace.